What if I told you the government once tried to control human minds, not in theory but in real life, using drugs, psychological torture, and experiments on people who didn't even know it was happening? This isn't science fiction. This is MKUltra, one of the most disturbing secret programs ever run by the CIA. Stay with me, because this gets darker the deeper we go. Welcome to Patterned Reality. So, what is MKUltra? It was a top-secret CIA research program officially started in 1953. It was approved by CIA Director Allen Dulles and run by a chemist named Sidney Gottlieb, who became one of the key figures behind these experiments. To understand why this happened, you need to understand the Cold War mindset. At the time, the United States believed its enemies, especially the Soviet Union and China, were developing brainwashing techniques. Prisoners of war had reportedly been manipulated into giving false confessions. So the CIA became obsessed with one question: can we control the human minds before our enemies do? MKUltra was their attempt to answer that. But instead of just being theoretical, they took it much further. MKUltra wasn't just one experiment. It was actually a collection of over 100 sub-projects, many of them hidden inside universities, hospitals, and research labs. Here's how they tested on people. With LSD and psychoactive drugs. The CIA believed LSD could break down a person's mental defenses. They wanted to see if they could make someone easier to control, interrogate, or manipulate. They used hypnosis. They explored whether someone could be hypnotized into doing things against their will, even dangerous actions. They also used electric shock therapy. In some cases, patients were given extreme electric shocks, far beyond normal medical use, to try and wipe the brain and rebuild it. They even used sensory deprivation. People were put in dark, silent environments for long periods of time to see how isolation affected their minds. The ultimate goal? To erase memories, rewrite behavior, or to create someone who would follow commands without question. In simple terms, they were trying to hack the human brain. Now here's the part that makes MKUltra truly disturbing. Most of the people involved didn't give consent. They didn't volunteer. They weren't informed. Some didn't even realize anything had happened to them. Victims included prisoners who had little choice, patients in mental hospitals, people struggling with addiction, and even completely ordinary citizens. In some cases, the CIA would secretly add LSD to a person's drink, just to observe what happened. Imagine going about your day. Then you're tripping your face off, intense hallucinations, paranoia, and fear, with no idea why. Some people were dosed repeatedly over days or even months. And because the program was classified, then there was no supervision, no accountability, and no protection for the people involved. One of the strangest and most disturbing parts of MKUltra was something called Operation Midnight Climax. The CIA set up secret apartments in cities like San Francisco. Inside, they created fake brothels. They hired sex workers who would bring men back to these apartments, secretly give them LSD and keep them distracted. Meanwhile, CIA agents watched everything through hidden cameras and one-way mirrors. Yes, they were literally spying on drugged civilians in staged situations. Why? They wanted to study how people behaved under the influence, how suggestible they became, and whether they could be manipulated in vulnerable moments. It sounds unbelievable, but it was real. After years of experiments, the CIA came to a frustrating conclusion. Mind control wasn't as simple as they'd hoped. Instead of creating obedient subjects, drugs like LSD made people highly unpredictable, emotionally unstable, and sometimes completely detached from reality. In many cases, the experiments produced pure chaos, not control. The human brain turned out to be more complex than expected. So, while MKUltra generated a lot of data, it didn't produce the perfect controllable agent that the CIA wanted. One of the most haunting stories connected to MKUltra is the death of Frank Olson. Olson was a CIA scientist working on biological research. Without his knowledge, he was given LSD during a meeting. In the days that followed, he reportedly became deeply disturbed, paranoid, and mentally unstable. 9 days later, he fell from his hotel window on the 13th floor of New York's Statler Hotel and died. The official report was suicide. But years later, his family and many investigators began to question that version of what happened. Some believe he was silenced or even pushed to the edge by what he experienced. In 1973, as the public scrutiny of government actions increased, the CIA made a critical move. They ordered the destruction of most MKUltra records. Thousands of documents were shredded or burned, but they didn't destroy everything. In the mid-1970s, during investigations into the governmental abuse, surviving documents were uncovered. This led to hearings in the U.S. Senate where officials were forced to admit that the CIA had conducted secret experiments on humans, without consent and often without any medical ethics. For many people, this was shocking proof that something once dismissed as a conspiracy theory was actually true. MKUltra still matters today, not just as history, but as a warning. It shows just how far the government can go when driven by fear and competition. It raises important questions. How much power should intelligence agencies have? Where is the line between research and abuse? And how do we hold secret programs accountable? Talking of programs, if this whole video has sounded like something out of Stranger Things, that's because it kind of is. The character 11 was inspired by real fears during the Cold War, including programs like MKUltra. MKUltra sounds like something out of a movie, but this wasn't fiction. It was real. And if something like this could happen once, who knows what they could be doing today? Thank you for watching Patterned Reality. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.